Welcome back. It's still Plus Politics. Africa has over the decades been affected by foreign policies of major world powers, and this time the United States as the focus, with the Trump-led America currently opposing Nigeria's bid to get Dr. Ngozi Okonji-Iweala as the DG of the World Trade Organization. What would Africa lose or gain if either Trump or Biden emerges? Joining us to discuss these and other issues relating to Africa is Okechukwu Joseph, a popular Nollywood actor and analyst. Good evening or good afternoon, since you're afternoon there.
Good evening. Pleased to be here with you today.
Good. He's joining us from Maryland, United States. And we also have Patrick Salami, who is a public affairs analyst. Good evening, Patrick Salami.
Good afternoon and good evening where you are.
Oh, awesome. And we still have our in-house foreign affairs editor, Aogo Obu. Once again, our own is good evening. Okay, let me start with you, King Joe, like we always call you. Yeah, very, very vocal on social media, very, very Trumpist. Allow me to use that description for you. The feelers you're getting now, are you singing a song of victory or the song has changed?
I am getting I'm having butterflies in my stomach, in all honesty. And this is it's personal to me. It's my own personal feeling that I see victory coming. I am extremely optimistic. I can't wait to be proven wrong on Tuesday. But everything I feel, it just almost like what I felt in 2016 when everyone told me to get ready to cry. They were going to bring some buckets to pick up my tears. And it turned out I was the one who was consoling them when Trump eventually won. And I feel the same way right now. And I feel that there's going to be a resounding victory on Tuesday for Donald J. Trump.
Okay, we'll find out what gives you that confidence. But let me quickly get the opening remark from Salami. What's the feeler there, especially where you are? We have quite a lot of Nigerians in that area. So what's the feeler there? Are they also getting agitated that Trump is coming back, or they're excited that Trump is going to lose?
I would say I think it's a 50-50 situation, largely because this administration has done quite a lot to suppress the vote or attempt to suppress the votes in many parts of the country, particularly in 5 swing states where it's crucial for whoever emerges to be the president to win those states. That's the first thing. The other thing is a lot of people who support Biden seem to feel confident or reasonably confident that he's going to win because he's built a very broad coalition, which is something this administration has failed to do in almost 4 years. Trump has been in office for nearly 4 years, and he's just focused on 2 narrow groups, the evangelicals and their supporters and white male voters. He's not really done much to draw in Hispanics or the female vote that he got the last time. He's not really done much to draw in the black vote. So there's a good chance that he would lose because he hasn't got the coalition that he requires.
Wow. Thank you so much. I'll come back to both of you. Olga, this is the vibes that we are getting. But let's come back to Nigeria here. We have a story of Okonjo-Iweala. You also remember the report from that America concerning Adesina's emergence when they had to go through a whole lot of disciplinary issue before he later emerged. So do you think Nigerians, as it is, will look forward to Trump's comeback?
Well, first and foremost, it's a great thing that they do the behind the scenes and the corridor politics, horse trading, all the way to the 9th after the election happens on the 3rd of November. So 6 days. There should be enough time to know whether they're going to be dealing with Donald Trump or Joe Biden. But I do sense that if you had Joe Biden, it would present a different opportunity because a number of things I've seen on his foreign policy plate does suggest they're going to be heading back in the Obama Biden direction, where we did see a lot of movement between United States and Africa working together. I mean, the last U.S.-Africa summit was happened when Barack Obama was president. We never had any U.S.-Africa summit after that time. And we got the Binational Commission for Nigeria, which is the highest collaboration between the United States and any African country, any country majorly. And it goes from security into economy, into the Niger Delta, a number of issues where we have worked with the United States over time. And the point we made earlier on is the reason why the relationship between the United States and Nigeria or Africa hasn't suffered greatly, despite Donald Trump's sometimes nonchalant attitude to what happens, is because of what is going on in Congress. The bipartisan work of the Congress has ensured, which is where a lot of eyes are also going to be looking at the polls, which is going to be happening in the Congress as well as in some Senate seats, to ensure that you still have people who are really interested in the working relationship between the United States and Africa. As for Ngozi Okonji-Iweala, I'm sure that a lot of people will hope that they can put everything beside, because I cannot remember the United States opposing, this is Nigeria's candidate and Africa's candidate by extension for the World Trade Organization seat. And I'm sure Biden will be trying to score something, what they say, low-hanging fruit with this one. I mean, it's a no-brainer, but if people argue about what Donald Trump has said about Africa and his relationship and sometimes his stone-faced behavior towards the African continent, you look at other allies which are traditionally closer to the United States than Africa. I mean, NATO, he's warred with NATO. I mean, he's shocked the G8 after they expelled Russia, saying that, why don't we go back from G7 to G8? So traditional allies of the United States have suffered greatly, and you don't expect Africa to have fared any better when you think about it.
And King Joe, this is an issue that makes you a bit quite unpopular among a lot of African Americans. So basically, what's your conviction like? Why are you a Trumpist? And like Salami mentioned, it's a case of focusing on, the evangelicals and call them the white, whether minority or majority or supremacists, it's different kinds of language. But basically, what's your conviction like? Why do you like him?
I don't quite agree with my brother's Salami's conclusions, because there's a recent Gallup poll that came out, and I challenge anyone out there to go look it up. The Gallup poll actually shows that a historic, that's the way they put it, okay? Historic 31% of Black people are out to vote for Donald J. Trump. Historic, meaning it has never happened before. And so Trump is reaching out. And First Step Act is something that Trump signed with his hands to help Black people who are wasting in jails for minor crimes to actually have a second chance at life. Nobody did that. Obama never did that when he came to power. Historically, Black universities, Trump funded them higher than any other president America has had in the last few decades. He gave them so much money. And not only that, Black unemployment is at an all-time low. So no matter where you stand, whether you are liberal or conservative, whether you are Democrat or Republican, these are facts that nobody can negate. Nobody can deny these facts. And not only that, we have this point that I always make every time. There are about 4,000 Liberians who were stuck in America for about how many years? About 20 years. And they've been looking for a path to citizenship. When Obama became president, they were screaming and rejoicing. I witnessed it. I was right there at my home in Burbank, California. Obama became president. These people were screaming out their heads like time has come for them to become American citizens. 8 years in office came and went away like that. Obama never signed it. Less than 4 years, Donald Trump signed that, and they now have a path to citizenship. Nobody can deny that. So what people are looking at, especially in Hispanic and Black communities, is not what the mainstream media is forcing down our throats. Everybody's looking at the results. They're looking at empirical evidences. And if I have a little time, I could also tell you about the what WTO. I just put out a video which my brother Femi Fani-Kayode called to thank me for, and I've been talking about it and sharing it with everybody. People just get unnecessarily emotional. America is fighting with China at the WTO, and the reason is very clear. China is usurping the opportunity that WTO provided for third world countries or for developing countries. How can China go to WTO and declare themselves as a developing nation and began to take all the benefits that are supposed to go to developing nations? In other words, making them to take advantage of the United States of America. China is the world's largest trader and then the world's second largest economy.
Okay.
And yet WTO allowed them to get away with labeling themselves as a developing country. So the reason why China has problems with America is America said, no, you can't continue to take that. That's why the US seemed to have almost crumbled the WTO operation and system, wanting for something new to happen. And Okonjo-Iweala has been seen to be supported by China. It's reported in Yahoo News, and I put that Yahoo News report on my own this thing. China supports Okonjo-Iweala. None of these media outlets peddling the whole news about Okonjo-Iweala has been able to get China involved in their reportage. They excluded China carefully so that they can call Trump a racist. But China actually supports Okonjo-Iweala. So that's what is going on. And I would like other people to
King Joe.
This is basically...
King Joe, it's an opinion, it's a belief, and you're fully entitled to that. But let me quickly get Salami to that, because a lot of people would say, what's the essence of this discourse? What is the need for us? My guest here has mentioned quite a lot of issues about how Democrats prioritize African as a continent in terms of trade policies and other issues. Do you really think that China is the issue here, why America seems not to be giving their full support?
Yeah, I quite agree with the previous speaker in the studio with you, because one of the issues with America and its trade policy is that it wants to impose a unilateral trade agreement at all costs and on every occasion. So when it's confronted by the challenge of countries like China or multilateral bodies like the World Trade Organization, it becomes very jittery and wants to take that bullish approach to it. And that's why it's opposed to Dr. Okonjo-Iweala, because she wants a multilateral approach. Donald Trump, in his business practice, and the American government as it is today, have never been interested in multilateral trade. He wants to impose his will. He wants to impose the will of the United States at all costs, forgetting that we are now in a situation where the world relies on each other to survive. Coming back to the issue of engagement and support of Black and minority groups in this country, I totally disagree with King Joe, because one thing we have to remember is this man is adept, is very good at propaganda and promoting himself. On the one hand, he's telling people that he's doing so much in terms of funding for the historically Black colleges and universities. But on the other hand, his Secretary of State for Education is pushing policies that's making it difficult for many Black people to either gain admission or stay in school or survive after graduation, because they have such huge debts. All of the work that the Obama administration and even the George W. Bush administration did to reduce the burden of debt for education, he's scaled them back. The other thing, criminal justice reform, he's just taking one step further what Obama started doing. Now, people forget that Obama had a situation where for 6 years, he was curtailed. There was not much he could do because you had the Tea Party on one side, the establishment Republicans on the other side, and everybody else in between, opposing and fighting him every step of the way. So it's easy for us to look back and say, oh yeah, Trump signed this and Trump signed that. But hang on, Trump had the Senate. And he's had the Republican Party with gerrymandering that went on after 2020 election, controlling virtually everything. So he's beginning to taste, or he began to taste with the election in 2018. He began to taste the difference and what Obama experienced, and that's what he's struggling with at the moment. As far as China is concerned, America wants to impose. I'm not for China, and I'm not for America either. My country is Britain. I carry a British passport, but I've lived here for a considerable period of time, and I've followed American politics since 1972. So I know a lot of what's going on in terms of the battle between China and America for trade and trade regulation. America wants to impose itself. It wants a unilateral approach to trade with other countries, but it can't work.
Okay, Patrick.
You have to respect people.
Patrick,
you have to respect other countries, and you have to cooperate and work in collaboration with other countries. And that's my position.
Okay, please, because of time, I'm just going to take 1 minute from both of you each, then I'll round up here in studio. Let me quickly go to King Joe. In 1 minute, a lot of issues have been raised about this form of America alone, America first. But it's looking like America first and nothing more. That's the argument out there. So basically, how do we say Trump's victory, Trump's re-election is going to be a good one for African American and Africa at large?
Well, I know. Okay, so first of all, let me correct what Salami said, that Obama was sworn by Republicans who were not agreeing with him. When Trump was able to get the First Step Act signed, he signed it under the same Congress that is led by Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi, anybody who knows that this Congress is the most antagonistic to Trump. He was still able to get a bipartisan agreement to be able to sign that. So Obama, if he wanted to do it, he could have done it. Now, to talk about why we have to believe in this Trump administration for Africa, is because there are a lot of evidences. I have a website I set up. It's called AfricansForTrump2020.org. If you go to that website, go to the page that says Why Trump, you will see a plethora of things that this man has accomplished for Africa. The problem is the mainstream media just doesn't want to talk about it. It was this same man who was able to look at what was going on in Cameroon and said, America will not sit by and allow you to keep on murdering your own people and still be giving you aid. And he withdrew the money from Cameroon and said, until the human rights situation is improved, we are not going to give any money to you. When South Sudan was fighting and killing themselves after getting independence, everybody looked the other way and they were busy taking off their natural resources. The same Trump administration went and told them, you have to stop killing yourself or America will do something. And indeed, America did something.
King Joe, your time is up.
Who are the troublemakers, imposed sanctions on them, and in less than 2-3 months, the government and the opposition came together.
King Joe, thank you so much. I'm sure you have so much, and like you said, if they follow you, they will hear more on why Trump for Africa. Let me quickly get your last comment, Salami. He has mentioned quite a lot of things. Some will also remind us the visit of Nigerian president to United States, some of the things that were signed, and also some of the support promised by America and some other issues. So don't you think there is something for us to say that Trump is not actually anti-Africa?
Is that for me?
Yes. Your final comment.
Well, I like the fact that King Joe says he's got a website where he's listed a plethora of things that Trump did for Africa. Now imagine a man who ran the Apprentice for several years, and he's done all these things, and he wants me to believe that the mainstream media is stopping us from hearing it. When so far he's talked about the things he's done when we know he's not done them. So for me, I don't think Africa has any hope if Trump wins a second term. We can't expect him to do anything positive for Africa. We know what he thinks of Africans. We know what he thinks of African countries, and we've seen policies in this country that impact negatively on Black people. Now, Somebody calls my home a shithole, excuse the phrase, I'm not going to be his friend. Because if he's saying that to my face, what is he doing behind my back? That's my question. So I don't think Africa should expect anything better or anything positive from a Trump administration.
Okay.
Because he would have nothing to stop him from doing the things he really wanted to do in the first term, which he didn't do.
Thank you so much. I'm sure King Joe will love to reply, but let that conversation continue on our social media. But before we go, let me quickly hear the last comment from my guest here in the studio. What do you really think? How can Africa actually engage a Trump's administration? Peradventure he wins. I'm not saying he's going to win. And you remember that that seems to be what King Joe mentioned. Yeah. Our frolicking, our romance with China seems to be our undoing.
Well, if you speak to many African leaders, they tell you that when we needed help, we went knocking. China opened the doors for them. So that's what it is, unfortunately. And most of them, if they had the opportunity, they got a very bad deal with the European. They don't want to think about the European-Africa deals. That always fell through every time they tried to approach it. And the United States, did more of talk. And then China, America now is trying to play catch-up with China in terms of the billions of dollars China is going through with its Belt and Road Initiative, trying to discredit everything about it. But it's what it is. Many African countries have benefited a lot from what China has offered to them. And America will have to find a way around this catch-up business as quickly as possible without the agreement. Because the more they keep talking about these things, China is in different major capitals in the continent, putting up bridges, infrastructure, providing the capital, and all of that. They have little time for the politics going on. But it's going to be a great watch, for, like they say, for the neutrals. Just get your popcorn, you stay on the front row, not row Z, and watch all of the fireworks play out. And I'm sure that Nigeria, like I said in the beginning, and many African countries have enjoyed the bipartisan. If you talk to many guys in Washington, they tell you that Trump has done amazingly well in the African continent in terms of what has been going on because of what is going on in the Congress. But he hasn't owned it. He hasn't said, this is what I've done. So they say, have some empathy in saying, at least this is what I did, irrespective of what is going on.
And relate with the traditional media. Thank you, Al Gobu, our Foreign Affairs Editor. I want to also say thank you to you, Patrick Salami, all the way from Maryland. Do have a lovely time. Trust me, we have your contact. We'll continue the conversation post-election. And King Joe, kudos to you. It's too late to change your mind on this issue. So the conversation will continue. I'm afraid I will not be able to give you my take on today's edition of Plots Politics. Time is fast spent, but trust me, tomorrow we'll be here to give you another interesting edition of Plots Politics. I remain yours truly, Kayode Ladende, saying bye for now.